What's up, guys? So I'm in the Beamer right now, and I was thinking let's try and do some work on it. And I was thinking what I should do for this episode, I guess. And I was thinking, why not try and do some suspension work? Cause my buddy got another E30, so I'm gonna be giving him back the coil sleeves. And I thought, let's do this on a budget, not go coil sleeves. And I have the stock springs, so we're just gonna go ahead and cut them, install them, and then put on some stock wheels that I have instead of these 16s. The stock wheels that I have are like the ones that look like the BBS. So we'll see what's up. We'll get started on this, and yeah. Alright, guys, so the first thing that we're going to get started with is taking out these the nuts that go over the center strut. We're doing that under pressure so that it's easier to take out once there's no pressure on the springs themselves. So there's and there's two. So we're going to go ahead and jack up the car so that we can take the tires off. And I'm going to be jacking it up by the cross member. Now the first thing that we need to do is take off both wheels. Now you guys can see what I meant by it having coil sleeves. So it's technically is a coilover, but I mean it's not, because this just sits right over the shock. And the only way that I was able to get the car low enough, or to my likings, was to take off the shock holder, which is probably super dangerous. And that's one of the main reasons why I don't want these sleeves. So I'm going to be putting this back on and cutting the springs in. Hopefully I'll be able to go as low. The other reason was that I don't want these is because the sleeve itself like pushes super high up, so it doesn't really like sit as low as the shock sits. So every time I'd go over a bump, it would bottom out. And so that's the main reason why I'm going to be replacing this with just the cut springs. So yeah, let's get to it. Let's start cutting the springs. Alright guys, so here's a stock spring. I was thinking about just cutting it in half, but I decided not to do that. I'm just going to be cutting, so technically 1, 2, 2.5 coils, maybe 3. And to do that, I'm just going to be using a basic cutoff wheel. It's pretty thin. When I did this on my 300 a while back, I cut it using a grinder, which is like a thicker disc, and it took a long time and threw sparks everywhere. So I'm hoping that that doesn't happen, and if you are doing this at your house, make sure you wear glasses. I couldn't find any, so hopefully this disc doesn't explode and none of these metal shavings will get in my eyes. So let's hope and let's get started. There's one. Hopefully this is as low as I need to go. I mean, that's a pretty big gap that I just took out. And yeah, let's hope. Let's go cut the other one, and we'll just pull the springs out and put these ones in. And yeah. Alright guys, so now that we cut the springs and we did this, we took these bolts off, we can go ahead and undo these top hat nuts, I guess. The nuts that hold onto the strut tower. So they're size 13, which is super random. BMW used a lot of random sizes when they were making this, so be prepared for that. And all my tools are lost right now, so I just have a wrench, so it's gonna take quite a while, and I'm probably just gonna cut to the next scene. Alright guys, so this is like the hardest part of taking this out. So you want to take the top hat off without taking the spring off. It's you'll see right now. Alright, so take the top hat off. So I got that out right there. Put that aside. Then you take the metal piece that the spring sits on. Take that out. And from here, take the spring out. Then the coil sleeve off. And that's disassembly for coil sleeves. If you're going to be doing it, if you're going to be taking off stock size springs, I'd recommend taking off the tie rod, then the lower control arms, and the brakes. Otherwise, there's just no way you could fit a whole spring in through here. Okay guys, so remember how I told you I took this out? Well, I'm going to be reinstalling it so that the spring, or so that the shock doesn't just flop around in there when it doesn't have the car's load on it, which is the problem that I had before when I would jack it up. What I'm using to lock it is just a coilover locking tool, or coilover wrench, I guess. Pretty simple, not too hard to do. And alright, so the next thing you do after you get this shock lock nut whatever thing, shock holder in place, is to put the actual spring on. And so we're gonna get that in, and this could take a little bit of force. Just because it's bigger than the other ones that you had in there, but it should go in. Should. There we go. At least it's in. That's all that counts, I guess. That's what she said. And from here, you're going to put this metal top plate on. Make sure you have this washer on it. I know there's a bunch of dog hairs on it. You need to have this washer, and then this little cap that goes over the bearings for the top hat. And then just bolt up the shock to the top hat, and the top hat to the shock mounts, and you should be good to go. You should be ready to be slammed. And hopefully it's as low as you want it to go. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Alright, so the hardest part about this whole install is going to be to get that one nut that we took off at the very beginning. It's going to be to get that one installed. And the easiest way that I found to do that is to pull the shock up by hand, and then to put the top hat on and everything, and while holding the shock in your hand, put the nut on and screw that in. There's no easy way to do that, and that's the easiest way that I found. Alright guys, so to push the whole strut up, what I like to do is I like to get a jack, and I like to jack it up by the control arm. One thing about this is be sure not to hit the rotor, and then while you're jacking it up, preferably have two people do this so that one can be aligning the top hat while the other just jacks up. So, should be aligned. Just need to, there we go. Just need to jack it up right there. The tricky part is getting these bolts to all go in. And once they're all right there, just go ahead and put the nuts on. There we go. Now, we're just going to go ahead and tighten this side up, all the bolts, and this side should be done. Alright, so we're just going to go ahead and tighten these three bolts up. Once we have that, tighten this last bolt right there, and we should be done on this side. As you guys can see, it didn't take too long for one side. Most likely I'm going to do two videos, one for the front suspension and one for the rear. So yeah. last thing on this side is to just bolt this one up, tighten this bolt. And that side is done. All we have to do now is put on the tire, and this side is done. So everything on this side is the same. We already did that. Remove these 3 bolts, drops down, and then remove spring, reinstall. So let's get to it. Alright guys, so these are the wheels that I'm going to be putting on, and they're alright. They're, I guess, original BMW wheels that look like BBS wheels. And the weird thing is, these are exactly the same way that regular BBS wheels work. Actually, this one even says BBS on it. Let me focus it for you. It should say BBS right there, which is quite strange. I didn't know BBS made wheels for Beamers, which is weird. Or at least stock wheels. I knew they made wheels that fit Beamers, but let's go ahead and get these on, and then we'll lower the car and see what happens. One side on. The most important part. Boom. Time to lower it. See what happens. Here goes moment of truth. Try and do this super slowly. Okay, not slowly, I guess. Alright, so it seems to be at the same exact height as it was with the coil sleeve, which is what I wanted. I'm going to do a little preview of you guys for the fender. So, alright guys, so this is the car with the fender on. It's definitely an improvement over the last ones. The car itself is definitely lower than before, and the plan is to go lower. So this was the BMW drift build part 2, suspension part 1. Hope you guys liked it. Comment, rate, and subscribe. And let me know what you guys want to see. I mean, this is a build that's going to be like a daily / drift, and we're just looking for good ways to make it drive better, look cooler, and be more Euro, I guess. So let us know what you guys think.